welcome to another broadcast of Kitsap Literary and Artist Creative and Artistic Showcase, where we interview authors, artists, painters, you name it, so that we can give their artistic ability out to the public. Today I have one of our original individuals that we interviewed back in about 2016, 2017, Diane Gardner. So I finally drug her in here once more to talk about all of the books she's written since then. Thanks, Diane. How you doing today?
Thank you for having me, Mike.
Diane is also an excellent painter and artist. So she didn't bring her big dragon painting this time, but I think back at, well, if we can ever find that other old show we did, I know we had it there, but she also does a lot of her own book covers. So it's been several years. So tell us what's been going on since the last time you were on the hot seat of KLAW.
The last time we talked a lot about Ian's Realm.
Right.
I think I had the first book out, maybe. I don't know if I had any of the other ones. Well, it's its 10th anniversary this last year and this year, so I've been celebrating the series, and I actually wrote the last book to the series, which is book 7, and put it all on Kickstarter. It's been on Kickstarter since January,
Cool.
each book. And so the final day, which is tomorrow, of the last book, is on Kickstarter. So that's what I've been doing.
Cool. And at one time, now you've been working also with trying to get some films of Ian's Realm and also Cassandra's Castle at one time in your career, and kind of where is that at?
Well, we did a 15-minute concept film for Ian's Realm.
Right.
In 2019, we put it on the film festival circuit.
Right.
And we won 14 awards. We won screenings all over the world.
Right.
And so we did really well with that. We haven't gotten a producer for it, but we do have someone that's pitching it even now.
Good.
It takes years to get something like that going. And we also did a 1.5-minute film for Cassandra's Castle. It took us all day to film
Right.
a 1.5 minutes.
Yeah.
But we had Robert Miano. He's a fairly well-known actor. He's been, he's got like 223
Yeah.
credits on IMDb. And he asked me if he could play the wizard if we ever do film
Oh, cool.
Ian's Realm.
Okay.
So,
And your series, of course, I guess you'd call it young adult fantasy.
It is, yeah.
Okay. Which you have the ability to write that I don't. Because whenever I try to write young adult, it winds up becoming adult because my brain is warped. So, but you have the great ability to be able to do that. And I like, of course, because I'm a big dragon fan, like Ian's Realm has a lot of dragons in
Yeah.
it and things like that. And then I noticed this other book over here, Curse of Mount Realm, you have a nice dragon on the front.
this is another series here.
Yeah.
This is book 1, 2, and 3, and then these are spin-off novels to the series.
Oh,
and yes,
okay.
there is a dragon in it. But they only talk about the dragon in these 2 books, and then you see the dragon in the last book.
Oh, okay.
But it's a little bit older than young adult. It's a little bit more violent. A little bit racier than Ian's
okay.
Realm.
Okay.
But yeah, it can still be read by young adults too, and that's my latest fantasy series. There's
Cool.
5 books in it.
Does this series have any relation to the Ian's Realm universe at all?
No,
Okay.
no. This is a portal travel, and this is a high fantasy where they're in the realm
okay.
altogether.
Okay, well then explain to the audience the difference between the high fantasy and some other fantasy books.
Okay, portal fantasy, as in Ian's Realm, they start in Seattle.
Right.
And they find a portal to another world through their computer, and they go in, and through the series, through the 7 books, they're going in and out of that portal. High fantasy happens in another world totally. There's no connection to this world at all.
Okay. And what made you decide to write a high fantasy series?
It just sort of happened that way. I was trying to get a little bit older in my writing
Yeah.
because I have an older audience. You know, I
Right.
have a lot of kids that love this book, but I found that it's easier to market to adults because children don't have credit cards and they can't get into the
True.
sales, like you can with
Right.
with adults. And also, I wanted to try my hand at a little bit more epic and a little bit more serious theme. This theme is, it starts off where a princess wants to be in her brother's army, and so he trains her. And then the first night out, she accidentally kills the king of an island whose magic they need to win the war. So my whole idea with that series was that people can make really rash mistakes,
Big mistakes.
and still come out of it looking fine in the
There you
end.
go.
So that's where I was going with that series.
In other words, deal with your mistakes rather than trying to ignore them is probably the best policy.
Right.
Oh,
Right.
okay, that is a good theory behind the story like that. So since you have dragons in both series, what is the difference between the dragons in the two series? As you can
Okay.
tell, I love dragons.
Right. Okay. Well, the dragon in this series starts off as he's not really the antagonist, but he does antagonistic things. He's, and he actually, he's got some kind of redemption towards the end. But I don't want
okay.
to tell this
Yeah,
the
okay.
ending. And then in this series, they don't know what his intent is.
Okay,
So we don't know until the last book whether he's a good guy or a bad guy.
cool.
So, and I'm not telling.
Well,
the
of
answer.
course not. So in your writing about dragons, they go along more with I would guess you would say, the Chinese version of dragons, of these great ancient beings with high intelligence.
Yeah. Well, in this one, yes.
Yes.
In this one, he has a character arc in Ian's realm.
So both of them,
So-
in other words, they're not stupid dinosaurs. They're not T-Rex running around
No,
trying to eat
no.
another
There
dinosaur.
is
Yeah.
some intelligence.
Okay, which,
Yeah.
like I said, it kind of goes in with the Asian idea of what a dragon. Western civilization seemed we dumbed dragons down, it seemed like, and we turned them into just monsters like
Right.
Godzilla. you know.
Right. Well, and he, he represents the struggle. He's the
Right.
thing that people are struggling, against in Ian's realm for a
Okay.
while.
And what are the age of the basic, the age arc of the basic characters in Ian's Realm series?
The age, okay.
Yeah.
Ian starts off at 15 years old, and he matures through the series.
Oh,
so
okay.
even in this book, in Ian's Realm, there's 3 books in this one.
Right.
The first 3 books that I published, I put
Right.
together in one volume. Even in this one, in the second book, he's 18. So
Okay.
you see him mature
Right.
throughout, and then in Cassandra's Castle, that's his daughter. So that's 18
okay.
years later.
Okay.
And then,
Shows
yeah.
you how stupid I was. I never put that two things together. Well, that's cool. So you have a multi-generational story,
Right,
then, literally. Okay. And is it how far into the next generation does your final book go
It just
into?
goes into the next generation.
Okay, just in there? Okay.
Yeah.
And I guess going way back when did you first decide to start writing fantasy books?
Okay, aside from writing when I was young and
Yeah.
loving poetry and always, all my life wanting to write a novel, but because of life,
Oh, yeah.
and children and grandchildren, I never was able to. And I am also an artist, as you said, and I did a lot of painting, did some commissions
Yeah.
and stuff. And I just remember one wintry afternoon, I was painting a picture, and I said to myself, why am I painting another picture? Because I have my studio's full, all my kids' walls are full, there's paintings everywhere. And I thought, why not just go ahead and write that story?
Yeah.
But one of the things I always wanted to do was paint a dragon, and I think we went through that before. So when I was painting this dragon, writing a story gave me an excuse to paint a dragon.
there you
Otherwise,
go.
you know, people would go, "Why are you
Why are you
painting
painting a dragon? Yeah.
So, so when I was painting the dragon, that's when Ian's realm started materializing, and so I was writing and painting at the same time.
So to a certain extent, the dragon character reached into your brain
Right.
from the other character dimension that all of us writers know about, and started tweaking your brain, saying, "You've got to write this. You got to write this. You got to write this."
Right. Well, I had to write somebody to, counter the dragon, and
Yeah.
he needed somebody to keep him in line.
Yeah. There we go. Otherwise, you'd take over everything. But
Right.
so I've kidded with you because you told me at one time that you actually worked as a bus driver, and I told you I was going to write a short story one of these days about the bus driver and the dragon,
Okay.
because you have such an affiliation with dragons. So I'll have to figure out, I guess, if the dragon is going to be an intelligent dragon or is it going to be like a T-Rex dragon.
Oh, I think he would probably be very intelligent.
Okay.
And he would probably he would probably be the bus turning into a dragon and saying, "I'm not going where you're taking me. I'm going somewhere else."
Well, that's a twist on the story I was thinking about. But yeah, the whole idea of interaction, I guess, that's always kind of the foil. You have the humans, and the foil is the dragon, or vice versa, depending on how you write the story. And I think that type of character development is what makes books interesting, because you show that you create a unique conflict that you normally wouldn't see.
Right.
and
Right.
everything.
Yeah.
And
Exactly.
and I guess you are another individual who writes from your soul rather than worrying about what sells.
Yeah. Obviously.
Yeah. But
But it connects with other people too who
Yeah.
read with their souls. So then
you have no problem when we go to venues. People are always coming up and buying your books.
But yeah,
so-
there are a lot of people. I found this out about fantasy lovers. They know their genre, and
Yeah.
they know what it looks like, and they want to read it. So, the covers pretty much sell themselves.
And I'm glad you did that little segue here. So some of your covers in the past has been your artwork, correct?
Yeah.
But now you've kind of done a combination covers a little bit now?
Yeah, I had several different covers. These covers were done by a man in Italy.
Oh, okay.
And he just did the artwork. I did the font and the copy. This one was done by a man in Turkey.
This
And
one
then
here?
and then this one I did with AI.
Okay.
And people are really attracted to that.
Well, yeah.
But they're all really beautiful covers. And then I
dragons anyways.
changed the cover of Ian's Realm. It used to be the dragon that I painted.
Right.
And then I wanted to go with something a little more
So you have a combination cover, dragon and character.
Yeah, the dragon and Ian. I wanted to have Ian on the cover.
Oh, okay.
And
That's
so
cool.
the dragon, actually this cover was done by the same man in Italy. His name is Mario Tosio
Yeah.
Dio, I think is how you pronounce his name. This is book 4,
Yeah.
and this was done with AI.
Oh, cool.
I did hire Mario, but I didn't like anything that he was doing, so I
So you
made
did
my
that
own.
yourself with AI.
Yeah, I did my own. This one's with AI.
Well, when you say you're doing it with AI, though, you're using the computer's ability to create an image, but it's coming from your
Oh yeah,
artistic
it has
capability.
to meet my approval for
Yeah,
sure.
in other words, you don't have this little robot thing doing it all.
No,
yeah,
no,
okay.
no. I put in the prompts,
Yeah.
and I get something that I like, and I prompt it again,
And you tweak it, yeah.
tweak it, and then I take it to Photoshop and work on it, and so it's not just completely computer.
Yeah, because I think that's the thing. When you talk about AI, everybody goes, "Oh my God, it does everything for you." Well,
No,
not
it
necessarily.
doesn't. Yeah, I mean, you can try having it do everything for you, and it's not
doesn't
going to
come out well.
No, it's not going to come out.
Just not come
But
out
these hardcovers are illustrated. These are the ones
Oh.
that I have up on Kickstarter right now.
Yeah.
And there's only a
Cool.
day left with it. But, I may have some of these at book signings that I go to, but I'm
Right.
probably not going to sell them any place except on my website.
Oh, okay.
So that's the hardcover to Ian's
Those are
Realm.
nice.
This one here, Cassandra's Castle, I changed the cover to that one, and that's also AI and Photoshop.
Well, AI supported.
AI supported,
Yeah,
right. Yeah, I
because
did
you
some
did, yeah.
Photoshop with this one too. So yeah, and then this is the latest book. This is the one that's on Kickstarter now, and this is just my proof copy, so I
Yeah.
don't have any final copies
But of
of
course,
this.
you have a dragon in the front.
I
which
have a
sells-
dragon on
sells
the
me
cover,
right off
you
the
know,
bat.
yeah, and these are all, every one of these books is illustrated, in color illustrations.
That is, okay, that's something that you started later on with doing the interiors illustrations.
I did this for Ian's Realm 10th anniversary.
Okay,
I wanted
that's
to
why.
give the series
Something
a
different.
tribute.
Yeah.
So I made these hardcovers, illustrated hardcovers, and the slipcase,
Right.
and put them up on Kickstarter.
Okay.
And I may or may not get more of these. I don't know. They're very pricey, so we'll see.
Well, for larger venues like major fairs and stuff like that, you could probably sell at least a few sets.
Yeah, that's what
Yeah.
I was thinking. They might be good for Christmas.
Exactly.
like really great
yeah,
Christmas
that I
presents
think
for somebody.
that's probably you hit it right on the head. If you start pushing them right before Christmas, because like you said, you have a specific audience that you've developed over the years, and people. Fantasy, same thing with science fiction. Science fiction writers, they get certain authors they really like, and every time they come out with, "Ooh, we got to go buy it,"
Right.
And with fantasy, you've developed a following, and also, of course, your take on the genre, you've developed a following, i.e., the dragons. Everything it always has a dragon in there, and then it's an intelligent dragon,
Right.
and so it's a main character.
And there's always a theme too.
Yeah,
I can't
exactly.
help it, but the theme comes out. Like with Ian's Realm, in a sense, it's be the father that you didn't, that your
Yeah.
father wasn't to you. You
because-
can be the man that you wished your father had been.
Because the father disappears through the portal,
Right.
and part of Ian's realm is he tries to
Yeah, and he
connect with
purposely
his
does
father.
not come back. So
Yeah.
and then again with the sort of Chonisi, it's a redemption story. So
Okay, but you also
Yeah.
made a female main character who's a
Right.
strong character, and that right now, at least in my experience with my crime thriller, if you have a strong female main character, that resonates amongst the population right now.
Yeah, right now it is, And she does, I wanted a strong female character, but I wanted her not to be perfect.
Well, yeah, you don't want it
know?
to be. You don't want to be just another one, quote unquote, Wonder Woman. You
Super Wonder
yeah.
Woman, right?
Yeah, you want her to be an actual human being that, like I say, they rise to the occasion.
Right.
They may not want to be a hero, but they rise to the occasion to be a hero because
Right.
it's kind of forced on them, but they have the ability to be a hero or heroine
Right.
or whatever you want to call it.
Well,
Yeah.
in Erica's case, she wants to be a hero, but she just doesn't go about it in the right way until
Okay.
until things make her go about it in the
Okay.
right way.
So, do you have another series in mind?
I am working on a sequel to a book that I have called Hoarfrost for Roses. And it is a mystery, historical mystery, sweet romance
Okay.
with a little bit of the occult. And it starts off with a young man who inherits his grandfather's estate.
Yeah.
And the estate is wanted by all these people that want to get involved in the railroad because it's 1879 Port Townsend history.
Oh, okay. Well, there you
Right.
go.
So he ends up almost getting murdered,
Yeah.
for this 900-acre property that he has.
So it's going to be a late 19th,
1879,
late 19th century Western,
exactly.
but not the traditional Western set in cowboy land. It's a
Right.
Western in the Northwest
Right.
that everybody forgets about people You know, we were not even a state
Right,
for
exactly.
quite a while. We were a
Exactly.
territory.
Women didn't have any rights. And,
Right.
You know, yeah.
And it's funny because in the back of my mind, I've started to write a Western involving the Washington Territory before becoming a state, to have it occur just before the Civil War starts. But also the fact that people forget that there was a big hunk of the U.S. that were still territories
Right.
up until up until 1900.
Yep.
You know, so that'd be fascinating.
Yeah,
Okay.
it's a lot of fun. And, you know, the first one went over really well. I have a lot of people that really loved the book.
Yeah.
And I think I should, you know, make
There you
another one.
go.
It's not the fantasy, but there's a cult because there's a ghost in it.
Oh, there you go. Got to throw a little ghost in
And
there.
Port Townsend is, you know, famous for their ghosts. So
Oh, that's true. Yeah, it's something I haven't even thought about, but that is true. That they've got a lot of history, a lot of little ghosts running up and down there.
Yeah.
Some of the older towns up and down here on the peninsula, and you know, Kitsap County and further north and everything.
right.
So we'll be looking for that.
Okay.
And of course, we'll be looking for all of these books here. And hopefully you're gonna always keep painting also. So we keep seeing those works of art. And on TV, I'm going to say you also owe me a small piece of apple pie.
Okay. Well, now I have to bring
Now
it.
you have to give me. I'm a connoisseur of apple pie. I like to taste how people add spices to the apple pies and stuff like that. You know, a lot of people add cinnamon or nutmeg. In other words, I like to see how they
Yeah,
manage to rate
cinnamon's
it
the
out.
only thing I use. A
Okay,
little bit of cinnamon.
Okay.
So
So if somebody wanted to get a hold of you, how would they get a hold of you online?
gardenersart.com.
Okay.
That is my website, and I am trying to sell mostly from my website. I have books on the retailers, but I don't advertise them as much as I do on my website.
Okay.
That way I can do specials, you know,
Yeah.
without having to, you know, make sure everybody has
Yeah,
the same price
exactly.
everywhere, you know.
Well, once again,
So-
thanks for coming.
Yes,
And
thank
now we
you
get to
for
sit there
having
and
me.
end this broadcast so we don't go over the 30-minute limit. And now we're wrapping up another episode of the Kitsap Literary Artists and Writers Creative and Artists Showcase. Once again, if it wasn't for Bremerton Kitsap Access Television helping provide the studio time and all the technical support, but also the publisher who also had the film division, Blue Forge Press, Blue Forge Film, who helped me with the editing and also putting this out on YouTube. Kitsap Literary Artists and Writers meets twice a month, the first and third Wednesdays at Spiro's Pizza on Kitsap Way in Bremerton, Washington. The meeting usually starts officially at 7 p.m., but I'm usually there earlier, so show up, we kind of have a quasi-meeting, and then we have a meeting. We're open to anybody out there that has any type of artistic desires. Doesn't matter if you're a painter, doesn't matter if you're a theatrical actor, doesn't matter filmmaker, doesn't matter if you're author. Stop on by. If nothing else, you'll get a little bit of an intellectual conversation with a bunch of other artists. I'd like to once again thank the audience here of Bremerton Kitsap Access Television. You can view this show on Channel 3 of Wave Cable Astound, Channel 12 of Comcast, both cable networks. We still have not been able to come up with any way to do it on satellite, unfortunately, but you can look at us on cable or look us up on YouTube. And with that, once again, I'd like to thank Diane Gardner, publishing is D.L. Gardner. Once again, thank her for coming here for this interview. So everybody out there in the audience, have a very productive day and a fantastic week.